Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll continue to look at how Nazarick defended itself against intruders. Last video we looked at how the first 5 floors were defended by a singular strong unit, and if those units fell, not too much was lost from the tomb's perspective. Going into the 6th floor, we see a change in tactics, as not only do we have 2 floor guardians with Aura and Mare, but Aura also has an assortment of beasts to aid her in combat. Furthermore, floor 6 represents a turning point in the defensive strategy, as Mare represents the old tactic and Aura shows us how things will be handled going forward. First, let's take a look at Mare. Mare is the strongest spellcaster of the floor guardians and second only to Shoutir in terms of overall strength. Even Sebas has stated how Mare and Shoutir's strength are interchangeable between first and second strongest floor guardian. This is because despite being a spellcaster, his stats are rather balanced between both magical and physical aspects. This means that like Shoutir, Mare isn't purely reliant on one fighting style. The disparity between Mare and Shoutir's kits primarily stems from the fact that Shoutir is optimized for one-on-one close combat, while Mare possesses the strongest area of effect spells in Nazarick, in terms of raw power at least. As Mare has a lot of druidic job levels, he naturally has many earth-related spells, including Earth Surge, Dragon Earth, and Earthquake, which is the spell that we saw him use in the Baharuf Empire. That said, he also has spells such as Woodland Strider and Stream of Lava to give him more elemental coverage. Mare also has access to non-offensive magic, such as buffs, debuffs, and the spells Magic Shield and Nature's Shelter. Magic Shield is self-explanatory, while Nature's Shelter creates a bunker of earth to offer protection from oncoming attacks. Unlike Shoutir's negative impact shield, this does not have the twice-a-day usage restriction, making Mare better balanced between offense and defense. Despite this, however, Mare does possess the typical vulnerabilities associated with being a magic caster, making his main defense his sister Aura, as she can attack on the front lines and draw enemy fire, while Mare can support her with spells and buffs, making both of them far more effective together than alone. So if Aura is up front, then how does she work? Aura is actually the second weakest floor guardian in terms of single combat, with the weakest naturally being victim of the 8th floor. In fact, in such scenarios, she is surpassed by some area guardians, including Pandora's Actor. That said, when accompanied by her assortment of beasts, she is considered the best group fighter in Nazarick. She also excels at guerrilla tactics thanks to her impressive speed, agility, and the fact that she can mask her presence extremely well. We see this particularly when neither Nabe or Gondo could sense her. This comes in useful as the 6th floor also has an assortment of traps at her disposal. Conversely, Aura is hard to sneak up on due to her acute hearing and her ability to see through invisibility spells. Despite this, however, Aura cannot see through Perfect Unknowable, as when Perfect Unknowable is activated, Aura can only detect a faint presence. Offensively speaking, the majority of Aura's strength comes from her beasts, so let's take a look at them. The beasts themselves do not surpass level 80, although can be buffed to level 90 or higher by Aura's skills. The 2 beasts we see commonly throughout the series are the black wolf called Fen and the chameleon iguana hybrid called Yggdrasil. Fen is level 78 and from a race called Fenrir, while Yggdrasil is an Itzamna. Aura's collection also includes a level 74 basilisk, a level 71 Godzilla-esque monster called Iris, and a longhair that is over level 40. It's also worth noting that the frost dragon Hydrantmal is also under Aura's command now, although naturally she did not have this back in the days of Yggdrasil. Furthermore, the woodland dragon that Mare and Aura arrived at the Baharuf Empire on is one of 2 that are just under level 90 and belong to Mare. Because there are 2 floor guardians and Aura relies on a slew of units, this would be one of the more expensive floors to revitalize if it was destroyed in battle. The heavy cost of resurrecting both Aura and Mare and their pets makes it clear that we are no longer looking to deter small threats, but vanquish any invasion that makes it this far. The fact the most powerful spellcaster with a speciality in area of effect spells and the best group fighter are on the same floor shows how things are being taken far more seriously from here on out. Both units have an emphasis on taking on multiple combatants, and their kits complement each other wonderfully to help them achieve this goal. It's clear any ideas on minimizing damage if a floor falls have been traded out for minimizing how much further an enemy can get. In the event the twins fail to stop the invasion force outright, the new tactics employed should help to ensure that the invaders' resources are severely drained by the time they reach the final floors, and due to Aura and Mare's multi-combatant speciality, take out the more supportive units such as healers or magic casters that the invasion force may possess. While the defense policies are becoming less focused on a small number of attackers, we also start to see the defense be less about the floor guardians themselves and more focused on all the resources a floor has to offer. We can see this further in floor 7 and the domain of Demiurge. While Demiurge is one of my favourite characters in Overlord, it doesn't make him one of the strongest floor guardians. Demiurge sits on the lower end of the power scale as far as floor guardians are concerned, sitting just above Aura in one-on-one confrontations. This is largely due to him being a jack of all trades, master of one, and that one is his unrivaled intellect. As the smartest NPC in Nazarick, he is cold and calculating and ruthless in efficiency when he isn't swayed by his negative karma rating. However, the Demiurge we see in the New World, with sentience and wit, is very different to the Demiurge that would have been in Yggdrasil. In Yggdrasil, Demiurge wasn't free thinking, so his cognitive power, while still impressive, wasn't as free and unrestrained as that of the Demiurge we see now. Nevertheless, that intellect would play a pivotal role in the danger of this floor and the danger he himself possesses. Demiurge's intellect allows him to take full advantage of his spells, abilities and minions, allowing him to quickly swap between strategies and win through deception and cunning. Though his spell range is quite limited, he does have access to some notable spells, including the tier 10 spell Meteorfall, which can blind onlookers but is otherwise self-explanatory, as well as the tier 7 spells Greater Teleportation, Hellflame, and the spells Hellfire Wall and Flash, which emits a searing bright light. Hellflame sends lots of small homing flames that combine into a larger black flamed inferno, while Hellfire Wall creates a wall of black flames that deals soul damage as opposed to physical damage. He can also use Flames of Gehenna, which is a spell we saw used in Yaldabaoth's assault on Riestes. Flames of Gehenna grants demons inside improved attributes and increases the damage of demons' negative karma spells, among other effects. Although his spell roster is lacking, his skill set is rather extensive. Alongside his command mantra, which he uses to give orders to those below level 40 or of weak mind, he has a freeze spell called Frost of Judica, Dimension Lock which negates all teleportation and transfer magic, and an Evil Lord summon which we'll come to later. After Demiurge's confrontation with Momon, it should come as no surprise that at the core of Demiurge's skill set are the aspect of the devil skills. Aspect of the devil razor sharp claws gives Demiurge the claws that extend beyond 80 centimeters in length, and tentacle wings is responsible for the long wings that rain tentacles on the opponent with enough strength to pierce steel. During the Yaldabaoth encounter, we also saw Hellfire Mantle, which spawns a flame from the ground and creates a shockwave from the user, as well as Stout Demon's gigantic arms. This skill causes Demiurge's arms to swell massively into a large mass of muscle and bone. This is similar to Archdemon's wrist, although this only expands his wrists. Aspect to the devil 8 Limmer's speed we didn't see in the encounter, although this causes the user to spout spider-like legs that can increase Demiurge's maneuverability and speed. Despite his impressive speed and access to greater teleportation, the natural problem with his kit is that it is very close range and his stats aren't impressive enough for him to play this attack style. This is because his creator Albert Alain Odal was more focused on making him a king of demons than effective in combat, and as such he relies heavily on his subordinates. Speaking of his subordinates, Demiurge has access to 14 evil lords which are roughly level 80 and are based around the 7 deadly sins. He has 2 of each of the following evil lords: Evil Lord's Wrath, Greed, Envy, Sloth, Pride, Gluttony and Evil Lord Lust. These summons are permanent as the clan purchased them and designated them to Demiurge. Demiurge, however, can have a 15th summon using the skill Evil Lord Summons mentioned earlier. The skill can only summon once every 50 hours and only allows temporary control over the Evil Lord. That said, if it were to fall in battle, it wouldn't be to the detriment of Nazarick, as is the case with the other 14 Evil Lords. Despite having seen 3 of them in the second episode, we only have a good idea of Evil Lord Wrath's kit, which consists of a fiery aura that deals fire damage in an area of effect for low damage, and spell resistance, as well as a variety of high tier spells. Most of them range from tiers 7 to 10, including Meteor Fall and Time Stop in the 10th tier. Most of them are fire related, such as Napalm and the 9th tier spell Vermilion Nova, which Shouty used against Ainz in episode 12. Others include Greater Teleportation, Insanity, Distant Moral, Astral Smite, which is effective against ethereal or temporarily ethereal beings, and Soul-Bought Miracle, which allows the user to use one of any spell under tier 8. Although Evil Lord Wrath is slightly higher in level than the other Evil Lords at level 84, we get a rough idea of the strength of each one, and that they can be quite a threat when the enemy has to contend with 15 of them as well as Demiurge all at once. This once more shows how the Floor's defences are less about the Floor Guardian now and more about all the resources the Guardian can leverage, especially given Demiurge's intellect and ability to use each resource to its maximum. In addition to his minions, such resources would also include a level 90 Hell Slime, whose combat prowess is said to be on par with the Floor Guardians. This slime is the area guardian of the 7th floor's River of Flame, Guren. Guren is far more dangerous than Demiurge himself, but due to the destruction he causes from his passive aura, Guren is bound to the River of Flame, where he can camouflage beneath the magma for a surprise attack and drag in enemies using his tentacles. Alternatively, he could use the ability Spitting Slime to spit out Inferno Slimes at the enemy. Due to his camouflage and environment, he is nearly impossible to defeat normally. However, his movement restriction means Demiurge will need to take enemy positioning into account to take full advantage of this floor's additional boon. The idea of the Floor Guardian straying from being the main focus shifts again in the 8th floor, when the Floor Guardian is simultaneously the biggest enabler of the defensive policy, while also being the most insignificant. However, Floor 8 is more deserving of an in-depth look rather than a brief overview, and as such shall be saved for a later video. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed.